Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Skyrim. Last time we cleared out the new inhabitants of the town of Helgen, a pack of bandits. We explored a lot of the surrounding roads to see sort of how everything connected up, and we arrived here at Bonechill Passage, our next target. The UESP was kind enough to inform me about this silver ore vein, just to the west of the steps leading up to it. Now, Bonechill Passage is a very small cave with a few predators inside, which won't take me long at all to clear. It mainly functions as a way to get up to the dragon roost at Ancient's Ascent. Even so, I've decided to treat them as two separate locations. I'll do Bonechill Passage, clear it, get through it, get Ancient's Ascent on the map, and do Ancient's Ascent itself, fighting the dragon and everything next time. A new enemy, snow bear. The toughest variety of bear in the game. I didn't just put both bears, maybe, because both bears were dangerous in real life. Regardless, you can see they're substantially tougher than bears. I think I should still be able to win this, albeit barely. Alright, well, let's just hang right here and heal up. I'm so happy to have Conjuration maxed, I can't even tell you. Restoration to 58. Excellent. I'm going to purge the cell buffer, try and speed things up a little bit. Oh, and it looks like it, well, it worked for a minute. And now let's wait 1 hour, just so we have a full complement of magicka going forward, because despite being little, this place tends to be packed with pretty tough predators. We already fought the snow bear. There's a bandit here. Look how I get to leave him alone. See, there's a knapsack next to this skeleton. And I believe this is a new book, Immortal Blood. Yes. Also happens to be one I like. Well, let's get it out and read it. Immortal Blood by Anonymous. The moons and stars were hidden from sight, making that particular quiet night especially dark. The town guard had to carry torches to make their rounds, but the man who came to call at my chapel carried no light with him. I came to learn that Movarth Pequeen could see in the dark almost as well as the light, an excellent talent, considering his interests were exclusively nocturnal. One of my acolytes brought him to me, and from the look of him I at first thought he was in need of healing. He was pale to the point of opalescence, with a face that looked like it had once been very handsome before some unspeakable suffering. The dark circles under his eyes bespoke exhaustion, but the eyes themselves were alert, intense, almost insane. He quickly dismissed my notion that he himself was ill, though he did want to discuss a specific disease. Vampirism, he said, and then paused at my quizzical look. I was told that you were someone I should seek out for help understanding it. Who told you that? I asked with a smile. Tissina Gray. I immediately remembered her. A brave, beautiful knight who had needed my assistance separating fact from fiction on the subject of the vampire. It had been 2 years, and I had never heard whether my advice had proved effective. You've spoken to her? How is her ladyship? I asked. Dead, Movarth replied coldly, and then, responding to my shock, he added to perhaps soften the blow. She said your advice was invaluable, at least for the one vampire. When last I talked to her, she was tracking another. It killed her. Then the advice I gave her was not enough, I sighed. Why do you think it would be enough for you? I was a teacher once myself, years ago, he said. Not in a university, a trainer in the Fighters Guild. But I know that if a student doesn't ask the right questions, the teacher cannot be responsible for his failure. I intend to ask you the right questions. And that he did. For hours he asked questions, and I answered what I could. But he never volunteered any information about himself. He never smiled. He only studied me with those intense eyes of his, committing every word I said to memory. Finally I turned the questioning around. You said you were a trainer at the Fighters Guild. Are you on an assignment for them? No, he said curtly, and finally I could detect some weariness in those feverish eyes of his. I would like to continue this tomorrow night if I could. I need to get some sleep and absorb this. You sleep during the day, I smiled. To my surprise, he returned the smile, though it was more of a grimace. When tracking your prey, you adopt their habits. The next day, he did return with more questions, these ones very specific. He wanted to know about the vampires of eastern Skyrim. I told him about the most powerful tribe, the Volkihar, paranoid and cruel, whose very breath could freeze their victims' blood in the veins. I explained to him how they lived beneath the ice of remote and haunted lakes, never venturing into the world of men except to feed. Movarth Pequeen listened carefully and asked more questions into the night, until at last he was ready to leave. I will not see you for a few days, he said, but I will return and tell you how helpful your information has been. True to his word, the man returned to my chapel shortly after midnight 4 days later. There was a fresh scar on his cheek, but he was smiling that grim but satisfied smile of his. Your advice helped me very much, he said, but you should know that the Volkihar have an additional ability you didn't mention. They can reach through the ice of their lakes without breaking it. It was quite a nasty surprise, being grabbed from below without any warning. How remarkable, I said with a laugh, and terrifying. You're lucky you survived. I don't believe in luck. I believe in knowledge and training. Your information helped me, and my skill at melee combat sealed the bloodsucker's fate. I've never believed in weaponry of any kind. Too many unknowns. Even the best swordsmith has created a flawed blade, but you know what your body is capable of. I know I can land 1,000 blows without losing my balance, provided I get the first strike. The first strike, I murmured, so you must never be surprised. That is why I came to you, said Movarth. You know more than anyone alive about these monsters in all their cursed varieties across the land. Now you must tell me about the vampires of northern Valenwood. I did as he asked, and once again his questions taxed my knowledge. There were many tribes to cover. The Bonsemu, who were indistinguishable from Bosmer except when seen by candlelight. The Kirilf, who could disintegrate into mist. The Yekef, who swallowed men whole. The dread Telboth, who preyed on children, eventually taking their place in the family, waiting patiently for years before murdering them all in their unnatural hunger. Once again he bade me farewell, promising to return in a few weeks, and once again he returned as he said, just after midnight. This time Movarth had no fresh scars, but he again had new information. You were wrong about the Kirilf being unable to vaporize when pushed underwater, he said, patting my shoulder fondly. Fortunately, they cannot travel far in their mist form, and I was able to track it down. It must have surprised it fearfully. Your field knowledge is becoming impressive, I said. I should have had an acolyte like you decades ago. Now tell me, he said, of the vampires of Cyrodiil. I told him what I could. There was but one tribe in Cyrodiil, a powerful clan who had ousted all other competitors, much like the Imperials themselves had done. Their true name was unknown, lost in history, but they were experts at concealment. If they kept themselves well fed, they were indistinguishable from living persons. They were cultured, more civilized than the vampires of the provinces, preferring to feed on victims while they were asleep, unaware. They will be difficult to surprise, Movarth frowned, but I will seek one out and tell you what I learn, and then you will tell me of the vampires of High Rock, and Hammerfell, and elsewhere, and Blackmarsh, and Morrowind, and the Somerset Isles, yes? I nodded, knowing then that this was a man on an eternal quest. He wouldn't be satisfied with but the barest hint of how things were. He needed to know it all. He did not return for a month, and on the night that he did, I could see his frustration and despair, though there were no lights burning in my chapel. "I failed," he said, as I lit a candle. "You were right. I could not find a single one." I brought the light up to my face and smiled. He was surprised, even stunned, by the pallor of my flesh, the dark hunger in my ageless eyes, and the teeth. Oh yes, I think the teeth definitely surprised the man who could not afford to be surprised. "I haven't fed in 72 hours, I explained as I fell on him. He did not land the first blow or the last. There you go, and we actually run into Movarth, now a vampire, presumably for several centuries, later on in the game. In Morthal, during the side quest Laid to Rest. Up ahead, you can see a frost troll. So let's just... There's usually an ice wraith in here, too. In fact, I think I hear it moving around. Oh, shoot. Well, let's get the ice wraith first. Another new enemy. Ice wraith. First one I've actually fought. They always drop ice wraiths and ice wraith teeth. And there's the chime indicating we've cleared Bonechill Passage. Let me get my map out to be sure of that. Yes, Bonechill Passage is cleared. You might have noticed there in front of that skeleton with the knapsack was a copy of 2920 Mid-Year B6. It's a second copy of a heavy armor skill book we've already read, in case you forgot. Alright, Bonechill Passage is clear. Goat hide, leg of goat. Naturally, no goat horns. Those are one of the few things I still need. A searchable skeleton, some potions. There's another searchable skeleton. Can't take any of these skulls. So let's just move along. I mentioned I don't want to deal with the dragon until the next video, so let's just go get Ancient's Ascent on the map so we can fast travel back here. But you can see, as promised, we've now arrived at the one obvious definitive path up to our first dragon roost, Ancient's Ascent. What's more, we actually have a quest to be here. It is just a simple bounty quest on the dragon. And he's going to be of the revered variety. There, we've discovered Ancient's Ascent. Well, let's back off. What time is it? 1:22 a.m. I want to get out of sight. And then wait till 4 a.m. and then head back to Falkreath. Now, this is our first dragon roost, but they're all pretty much the same. There's some variants if you come before Dragon Rising and you haven't activated dragons, but if you've completed Dragon Rising and dragons are in the game, All dragon roosts function essentially the same way. There will be a dragon on top of a word wall. You kill the dragon, you learn the word of power. Pretty basic. But, alteration to 84, we've discovered Ancient Ascent. You're all set. Come and kill him next time. Oh, I failed to realize we had moved closer to Falkreath. Only took us 3 hours to get here. Alright, let's go visit Soloth.
Don't go setting the place on fire, okay?
Give a holler if you have any questions. Well, trinkets, odds and ends, that sort of thing.
I like starting at miscellaneous and working my way up a little better. So I'm gonna do that. Anyway, there really wasn't much to that place. As you can see.
Steal anything from my shop and...
Now, the next thing we're gonna deal with is that revered dragon. That's too powerful for me to try to take on with 100 magicka and my piddly little spells. As we've seen, my favorite option for this, by far, is my dragon bone bow with ebony arrows. So let's fast travel back to Ancient Ascent, and I will end the video there. Oh, my horse is here. That's not good. Anyway, this has been Let's Play Skyrim. We cleared out Bonechill Passage, we arrived at Ancient Ascent. Next time, we will clear out our first dragon roost and learn a new word of power. Until then, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.